This is the News 4 Rundown.
And welcome in, everybody. I'm Jim Adley. It's Wednesday, February 4th, and here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you tonight. Coming up, mass layoffs at one of D.C.'s and the nation's most trusted sources for news. More on the dozens of Washington Post employees who lost their jobs today. Plus, more complaints were filed against D.C. police last year than ever before. The I-Team looked into why, and the surprising resolution for a complaint over one of the most high-profile incidents D.C. police were involved in last year. Then we're just days from the start of the Winter Olympic Games. Arjumi Olabanji is in Milan, checking in with the quad god as he prepares for Olympic competition. But we begin tonight with slightly warmer temperatures, creating some dangerous situations, including that ice falling from rooftops around our region. Check out this scary sight out of Centerville in Fairfax County. That man says all that snow and ice almost hit him as he was getting ready to go to the store. We saw a similar scene here in Shepherd Elementary in Northwest D.C., where slabs of ice and heavy snow crushed some cars in the parking lot. Thankfully, no one was hurt. News 4's Mauricio Casillas is tracking conditions across the district for us tonight.
DC Fire and EMS tells me that thankfully they haven't had to respond at this point to any incidents of falling ice injuring anyone. But here at Shepherd Elementary School, we're getting a clear look at the impact of this. This ice came from the top of the building of the school and landed on top of this vehicle. You can see how it crushed the front windshield and then caved in the top of the car. Really scary situation. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Now, the school's principal did send out a note to students, teachers, faculty, staff, letting them all know that they need to be on high alert because these conditions can change at any moment and can be dangerous if it does happen to fall. As we start to thaw out, ice across our region is tumbling down. That was the case Tuesday afternoon at Shepherd Elementary, where falling ice crushed multiple vehicles in the school's parking lot. A scary reminder of just how serious things could have been if people were inside those cars.
And that's a perfect example. I mean, if that material could damage a car, think what it could do to a body.
Vito Maggiolo with DC Fire and EMS wants people to be aware of their surroundings and do their part to reduce dangers for others.
You look for those hazards, and if you can safely remove them, that's very important. Don't be reckless in trying to knock off icicles or knock off sheets of ice on your rooftops or on your balconies. Do so safely if at all possible.
As for the situation at Shepherd Elementary, the school's principal sent out this letter, which reads in part, quote, "There were no reported injuries, but with temperatures rising above freezing, we are asking students, staff, and families to please be especially mindful when walking around the exterior of the building as additional snow or ice may continue to fall. The safety of our students and school community is paramount," end quote.
It could have been ugly.
Emmanuel Payton lives across the street from the school and says the falling ice has definitely gotten his attention. What does it sound like?
Because it has that impact at the end. It's not long, but it's enough to catch your attention and stuff, because you don't hear it every day.
Now he, like many of us, is looking forward to the snow melting.
Be safe, dig safe, and pray for springtime.
Can it be cherry blossom season yet? I just can't wait for the snow and ice to melt. Now, this is going to persist, unfortunately, because those temperatures are going to dip. So until the snow and ice melts from the roofs, there could be a danger. Now, there is an example of the community coming together. We've been told that some parents here at Shepherd Elementary came together to purchase some Uber gift cards for some of the faculty and staff who had their vehicles damaged. So it's just a little bit of relief during these tough times. Reporting in Northwest D.C., Mauricio Casillas, News 4.
Well, finally, some good news for parents. Students across our region are heading back to school this week, most of them on a delay. Loudoun, Fairfax, and Prince George's County will open on a 2-hour delay the rest of this week. All athletics and after-school events in Prince George's County are canceled for the week. Finally, in Montgomery County, all schools will open on time tomorrow. Now to a seismic shift for news here in Washington. Today, the Washington Post announced it's laying off hundreds of staffers from nearly every department. Some areas hit hardest by the cuts include foreign bureaus, sports, books, and Metro or local D.C. news. News 4's Amy Cho spoke with several former Post staffers today who say the cuts will decimate access to news for people here in our region and across the country.
The notices came this morning by email, with hundreds of Washington Post staffers learning they had been laid off. One of them was reporter Michael Bryce Sadler, who spent 6 years at the Post and covered D.C. government.
Truly, it was the honor of a lifetime to do that. I love local journalism because I can work on news that impacts my neighbors and that matters to the people who live in this city. And the reduction of any coverage, not just the Post, is a disservice to the residents here.
In the email announcing the layoffs, Washington Post executive editor Matt Murray cited money problems, saying, "We have concluded that the company's structure is too rooted in a different era when we were a dominant local print product. This restructure will help to secure our future in service of our journalistic mission and provide us stability moving forward." Dozens of Post reporters wrote on social media today they've been laid off. The cuts include foreign correspondents, reporters covering politics, education, and sports, and nearly all of the Metro DC reporters.
It's a tragedy what's happening. This was a bloodbath today.
A local newspaper is one of the things that knits a community together. To lose one of the pillars of that is sad for the city and sad for the country and sad for the world, frankly.
In 2013, the Post was purchased by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. In recent years, the Post has had several rounds of cuts, with the Sunday Magazine and Kids Post being slashed at the end of 2022, and the paper cutting another 4% of its staff last year. The Post says it now plans to focus mainly on politics, national security, and national stories, along with some other areas like science, tech, and business. The Washington Post Guild put out a statement saying, in part, these layoffs are not inevitable. Continuing to eliminate workers only stands to weaken the newspaper, drive away readers, and undercut the Post's mission to hold power to account without fear or favor, and provide critical information for communities across the region, country, and world. As for Michael Bryce Sadler, he's now looking for a new job and says he wishes he and his colleagues could have continued their work.
The impact's going to be significant, and I'm sorry to our neighbors that this is happening.
News 4 reached out to the Washington Post's newsroom leadership to ask for comment on the cuts. We have not heard back. Amy Cho, News 4.
As Amy mentioned, the layoffs at the Post include most of the sports section, and a lot of those people covering sports for the Post, it was a dream job. Our sports guy, JP Finley, joins us now with reaction to today's news. JP, these were your colleagues, competitors, and friends, too.
Absolutely. I mean, Jim, I've shared so many press boxes, red-eye flights, practice fields with so many people, great reporters and writers and just people, humans at the Washington Post. I cannot believe this happened. Throughout the day on social media, we saw as one reporter after another came out and explained that they were let go. Andrew Golden covers the Nats. Candace Buckner is a close friend of mine. She said, "I guess democracy has died, y'all." Well, at least the greatest sports section in all the land has. And I think that really sums it up. Buck's a super talented columnist. A lot of these people are going to be able to find new jobs, but that's the sad part, is that they even have to look for something as iconic as the Washington Post sports section, which raised me in a lot of ways. I probably read far more of the Post sports section growing up than I did the books that were assigned to me by my English teacher. It's a sad day, and earlier today on my radio show, I got to catch up with Neil Greenberg, who does analytics and fantasy and betting for the Washington Post, or I suppose he did, and he talked about the enormity of this situation.
Look, I grew up in New York.
Yes.
I knew how good the Washington Post sports section was. I mean, you know, it had a murderer's row of talent, and I was blessed to be a part of that for 14 years, 3 as a freelancer, 11 on staff. And I took it seriously, and I know many of my colleagues did. And, you know, to think about the Washington Post without a sports section is just unfathomable.
This one's gonna hurt for a while, JP. So let's turn to some positive news now.
Yeah, we do have some good news. Absolutely.
Yeah, for the Wizards.
And it's been a long time since we say the big news came from the Wizards, right? And the Wizards have been in this rebuilding pattern. It's kind of been a holding pattern. Well, today they made a huge move. Now, it wasn't long ago they traded for Trae Young, who's a 4-time All-Star. But today, reported by ESPN, they traded for Anthony Davis. Remember Davis at Kentucky? They won a national title. He was the #1 overall pick in 2013. Won a ring with LeBron on the Lakers. Now, Davis has dealt with a lot of injuries, so there are real health questions with Anthony Davis. But for the Wizards to get a talent, a household name like AD, is a massive deal and could speed up this rebuilding pattern. What I like most about this deal, Washington did not give up any of their core young players that there's so much excitement about, guys like Alex Sarr or Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, and they didn't give up their high draft pick. This year is expected to be one of the best NBA drafts in a number of years. Washington roughly projects to have a top 5 pick. They didn't give that pick up. They gave up a later first-round pick, which could be around 27 to 30, that belongs to Oklahoma City, but I think that's a winner of a trade for Washington.
All right, that's exciting. JP, thanks so much.
Thank you,
we'll look
Jim.
for you on All Ears tonight.
Look forward to it.
Here's a look at what else we have coming up on The Rundown tonight.
I'm Ted Oberg with the News 4 I-Team. A school leader was shocked by what she saw D.C. police doing outside her classroom, and she filed a complaint. It was one of hundreds filed last year against D.C. police. She just had a one-on-one meeting with that officer, and we'll tell you how it ended and what D.C. police had to say.
Temperatures were above freezing across the area today, but more cold moves in. An Arctic blast moves in just in time for the weekend. I'm going to explain what to expect coming up in just a minute.
New tonight, D.C. police had a record year in 2025, but not likely one they want to brag about. The News 4 I-Team found more complaints filed against D.C. police officers than ever before. Ted Oberg and our team wanted to know why.
If you do not get on the sidewalk, you'll be arrested for failure to obey traffic officers.
As D.C.'s bilingual public charter school in Fort Totten was dismissing September 25th, a caravan of D.C. police and federal authorities showed up outside, questioning 2 young handcuffed men who were not connected to the school.
I went out there right away. This is my school, and I'm going to protect it, and I'm going to make sure all the kids are safe.
Can you tell us what they're being arrested for?
It's none of your business.
It was one of those incidents, many reported by News 4 last year, in which federal immigration authorities took someone into custody side by side with D.C. police.
Do you see who's watching you? These are children that you're doing this in front of.
There was shouting and videotaping, and at one point, this comment from a D.C. police officer.
Don't call 911 next time then. Y'all have such a problem.
So you can show up? So you can show
You
up?
have such a problem with us. Don't call 911 next time.
That, Daniela Anello thought went too far. The encounter led to several complaints against D.C. police, part of a record year for such complaints.
That was very puzzling to me because we've taught our kids over and over, if there's something harmful, dangerous, or scary, you call 911 and the police will come and help you. So that was very upsetting.
But in that moment, they're almost saying, don't bother.
Don't bother.
In the elementary school.
Anello says that traffic stop dragged on, eventually ending when the 2 men were taken into custody. Concerned about what her staff and students had seen, she wrote Mayor Muriel Bowser, but says she never heard back from the mayor. She did hear from then Police Chief Pam Smith after speaking out at public meetings and testifying before D.C. Council.
Students cried, asking their parents if they too would be taken away.
Anello went even further, though, and filed a complaint with D.C.'s Office of Police Complaints, an independent D.C. agency that investigates complaints against officers in the district. Hers was one of more than 1,000 complaints received last year, according to the agency, and while complaints aren't always found to be misconduct, it is the most complaints the office has ever received.
I was complaining about how the police responded in a moment of high stress outside of the school community when kids and staff and community members are watching.
We expected there would be a lot more complaints about stops and searches and frisks and things like that.
Mark Cross is the agency's director. He says he can't be sure why there was an increase in complaints last year. The analysis is still ongoing, but he does say it points to a level of trust in the police that may need to be rebuilt.
This topic of community trust in the police department in D.C. has a long history.
But this year has been an especially hard year with that, hasn't it?
Yes. Yes, it has been.
A News 4 analysis of OPC's data shows a 17% increase in weekly complaints after the federal surge began in August, including allegations of intimidation, property mishandling, and officer language and conduct that were all way up. Alicia Yass, who now works at the ACLU, served as a deputy director at OPC.
I think they should be trying to do better. I mean, all of us should always be trying to do better at our jobs. This is not just the police, but the police are being given evidence of what they could be doing better.
Director Cross says investigators review and investigate every complaint, reviewing witness statements, body-worn camera video, and police reports. After that, only a very small percentage of complaints are upheld. Daniela Anellos was one of them. How much trust building do you think D.C. police need to do?
Oh, a lot.
Months after filing her complaint with OPC, she was offered mediation with the officer who snapped at the crowd that day.
All right, cool. Don't call 911 next time, then.
The 2-hour session was confidential by the rules of the agency, but she did tell us afterwards.
We had a moment of you care, I care. We're both professionals. We're both trying to keep our communities safe. We're just going about it in slightly different ways with different roles.
While OPC can't take direct disciplinary action against officers, it can make recommendations to D.C. police. There's no automatic mention of the OPC process in an officer's police personnel file. But at a time when police and community relations need rebuilding, Anello still believes there's value in the process and hopes hers and the hundreds of other complaints this year will change police behavior.
I can say that I received the apology that I was
You
seeking.
did?
Yes.
How'd that feel?
Amazing. To feel that there was a connection between what I would have wanted to have happen and the police officer's realization of, yes, I could have done this better, that connected us.
OPC's director says it plans to make recommendations to D.C. police soon based on the number of last year's complaints, including possibly about the impact of that federal surge. Interim police chief at D.C., Jeffrey Carroll, decided not to talk to us on camera, but a spokesperson there told us the agency hasn't been briefed about this rise in complaints and added there is nothing more important to MPD than maintaining the trust of D.C. residents. D.C. police do plan to provide a more detailed strategy for community outreach in the coming months. We did reach out to that D.C. police officer who met with Daniela in that mediation, Jim, to see if he wanted to talk, but decided against it as well.
Interesting. They had a connection there, though.
A 2-hour mediation, not face-to-face in the same room. They were over Zoom or another one of these. But I think they were able to talk out how they each saw incidents like this, which there is some power in, according to her. She doesn't think he did the right thing, by the way, but she does value the conversation.
Interesting piece. It'll be interesting to see how the numbers look this year.
Absolutely.
Ted Oberg, thanks so much, Ted. And now let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Kammerer for a look at our forecast out there.
Yeah, we did see temperatures above freezing today, and with some sunshine, it didn't feel terrible, but a high temperature still only 39, so well below average. Out there right now, 35 degrees, a little bit of a wind chill. Notice that wind out of the north-northeast at 13 miles an hour gives us a wind chill of 26, so it's definitely on the chilly side. That northerly component to the wind will bring in some cooler air overnight tonight. 28 right now in Gaithersburg, 32 Leesburg, 31 in Manassas. So most areas below freezing, or at least getting there, and that means we're talking about that refreeze again tomorrow morning. So make sure you're keeping safe out there on the roads and the sidewalks. 22 the current wind chill in Hagerstown, 28 Gaithersburg, Manassas coming in at 25 degrees. So we've got some pretty chilly air that once again is working its way back in. Tomorrow will be a cooler day again than we've seen over the past couple. Storm Team 4 radar, nothing to show, but we're tracking a storm system down to the south that's bringing a lot of rain. Areas like Raleigh and towards the Carolinas, all the way down towards Jacksonville along I-95. The northern edge of this does have some snow, but it's not going to work into our area. What it will do for us is just give us the reinforcing shot of cooler air for tomorrow into the day on Friday. And then we turn our attention to the north on Friday. An Arctic front moves down from Canada, moves across the Great Lakes, and brings us a good chance for snow showers during the day. Could even come down at a pretty good clip, although we're not expecting much in the way of accumulation. What we are going to see from this is going to be wind. It is going to be very windy, and our mountains back here are actually going to see near blizzard conditions with some pretty good amounts of snow back that way, too. So talk about the temperatures tomorrow, 34 degrees, about 5 degrees cooler than today, 36 with a snow chance on Friday. Cold air and wind moves in Friday night. It is windy and it is frigid on Saturday. Sunday, temperature around 25. just in time for Super Bowl Sunday. But how about those wind chills? Look at these numbers Saturday morning, below 0 in most of the area. And look at D.C. at 9. That's at 7 a.m. Watch this as we move on through the afternoon. It gets colder through the afternoon as the cold air moves in and that wind just kicks up. And look at Saturday night, wind chills as much as 10 below 0. Sunday morning, still on the frigid side. As we make our way towards next week, though, we do get back into the 40s, so that's good news. And as we make our way in towards next weekend, Jim.
Oh, boy.
A little bit of a system on Thursday, no big deal. Next weekend would be Valentine's Day.
That's
We'll
right.
track a potential storm then, too.
The hits keep coming.
They do.
All right, Doug, thank you. We'll be right back.
It's like the beat.
Well, we're just about 48 hours until the opening ceremony, folks, for the Milan Cortina Olympics. News 4's Jumi Olabanji is on the ground in Milan, where the figure skating competition will take place. She spoke with Fairfax's own Ilya Malinin, who is preparing for his Olympic debut.
The Winter Olympics are getting ready to start here in Milan with the opening ceremony in just a few days. And competing this weekend in the men's figure skating team competition will be our own Fairfax County native Ilya Malinin, who is getting ready to skate. We watched him practice yesterday at the ice rink, the same place the competition will take place in this weekend and for the rest of the Olympic time here. He looked very confident on his skates. He was doing his turns, his quad axels. He did a backflip as well. But he's getting ready to compete. And, you know, he's got a lot on the line here. He's expected to win gold. The pressure is on, but he tells us he's ready for all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just super grateful to be here and all, and of course everyone on that team is so inspiring, so supportive. We all support each other. We're all there for each other. So that team event is really going to help me, one, get a feel for the ice, but also really feel the environment and that Olympic spirit, and it's going to prepare me very well for my individual event.
You heard there from the quad god himself. He is ready to take to the ice here in Milan. But one thing that myself and photojournalist Brooks Merriweather did before we left Milan a few days ago, we stopped by Casa Italiana in Northwest DC for a bit of a Italian language lesson, if you will. Take a look. If I was a student coming to Casa Italiana, wanting to learn entry-level Italian, what are some of the tips or things that you tell your students when you were teaching on how to learn Italian successfully?
Generally speaking, to learn another language is always a plus in your life for everybody. But important is buon appetito.
Oh, buon appetito. I know that one. That means...
Perfect. Have a good lunch, have a good dinner or whatever.
Okay, so it's not bon appetit.
No, be careful. Appetito è 2P and 2T. Appetito. Appetito.
Please and thank you.
Per piacere.
Okay.
Per
piacere.
Piacere.
Come sta?
Sì.
Okay.
Okay.
Buongiorno, come sta?
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Perfect.
And so, if we're cheering on Team USA and we're watching hockey, how do we say, go Team USA?
Forza Americani, sì.
Forza Americani.
Forza.
Perfect.
No. Americana.
Non potete dire forza.
Forza.
Forza America.
Forza America.
Sì.
Sì.
Brava me. Him, no bravo.
Lui non è bravo.
Perfecto.
Bravo.
All right, so go America, if you will. Forza America, as she was saying there during our language lesson. A big thanks to the folks at Casa Italiana. But lots to see and do here in Milan as we join you live each and every day. Get ready for competition to begin. Curling begins today here in Milan Cortina, with the U.S. women's hockey team set to take to the ice for their first competition match. That'll be on Thursday. In Milan, Jumi Olabanji, News 4.
And with that, we say buongiorno. See you at 11. Have a good night, everybody.